So we're now live. So welcome everybody.
Hi there.
Hi there.
Hi. How are you all? Good.
We is good. Going to put everybody on in mute here in Q&A mode.
Q&A session started.
And we'll get into it. So welcome everybody. This hangout is our summary of the theme for the week. A longer discussion, of course, continues each week on our conference line, both today and then either Tuesday or Thursday. And this week it's Thursday. So you're welcome to come to that call also and bring your questions and hear us continue on this topic. You're welcome to join us. So let's move into this with Tara. Welcome. We're listing here our most effective law of attraction tips as simple ways of taking advantage of the power of attraction that is always working for you. Our big 5 tips are: 1, notice how you're feeling. 2, change directions when you drift into feeling bad. 3, live from within the question, what do I want now? 4, be obsessively compulsive about appreciating everything. 5, expect the best of everything. We've covered all these law of attraction tips before, of course, but as we revisit them here, let's see if we can open up some new ideas about creating what you want from life. And let's begin by being clear about those words above, the power of attraction. As we discussed last week, the law of attraction is not something you can decide to use or not use any more than you can decide to use or not use gravity. It's always on. But unlike gravity, it's not something that exists only in realms like your space-time world. Every entity that exists, every individuation of source, is always experiencing a context that matches who or what they are. And also, unlike gravity, it's not one of the many forces that influences your world and our world. It's the absolute and foundational force that creates everything, including, in your world, gravity itself. Let's also be clear about who's in charge here. In your world, you are. The only entity that is at choice about shaping you and your context is you. There's no entity of any sort in any place that's keeping tabs on you and arranging things independently of you. Yes, we know you've focused down into all this physicalness. And yes, we know it's immediate and it's in your face and it's very engaging. But it's just the stage for your play. It does not contain or control a consciousness that is you. You control it. And can you see what that means? It means this power of attraction, which is totally absolute, is your power. So let's get to our law of attraction tips and talk about harnessing it. 1, notice how you're feeling. It seems almost too simple or obvious to mention, and yet it's key. And it's also something you'll forget to do at times, sometimes for days on end. How you feel is your directional indicator. When you're feeling good, you're aligned with your desires, which is to say you're heading towards the things you want. You've been storing your chosen preferences for a lifetime, and your superconscious knows it all, even the things you mightn't have thought about consciously for years. When you're feeling good, you're moving in alignment with those preferences and vice versa. Hence the importance of noticing how you feel. Let's tell you a story about the 2015 Wimbledon Tennis Championships, which will talk to both of those things we described above, the absoluteness of the power of attraction that you have and the importance of feeling good. Last week, this one was watching the final of the men's singles. Federer was playing Djokovic, and he really wanted Djokovic to win. And just to really put this story in perspective here, you should know that he had TiVo'd the game and was watching it the next day without knowing the outcome. Now, as you always hear us say, by law of attraction, there's nothing you cannot be, do, or have. So the question is, could he choose a win for Djokovic? In a physical, out there, external, one version world, the answer is, of course not. Not only are there the players themselves, there's the millions of people who watched it and had their own preferences. And in any case, the match was long over by the time he got to seeing it. Let's get real here, Tara, you might be thinking. You have to be sensible about this. There's got to be some practical, real-world limitations to this. Well, we are being sensible. If you think you live in a shared one-version world, an absolute law of attraction makes no sense at all. You don't. You live in a virtual reality. It's your world, and you're creating it moment by moment. There's an often asked sports question. If opponents in a match both believe in the law of attraction, who wins? There is no one answer to that question, because the true answer is, of course, both. It depends which version of the game you're referring to. And note that this is a question about life in general, because if you're in a shared world, you're all, in a sense, competing to make the world be as you each want it to be. But you're not. You're creating your version, and those other consciousnesses are creating their version. To the extent that those versions are in resonance at times, so those shared experiences become a part of both worlds. But back to the story. So there he is next day looking forward to the game. He settles in with his beer and crackers and gets into it. It turns out to be a very close match. And at one point he notices, it was a good catch by the way, that his excitement about it and enjoyment of the game was being compromised. He had started to worry that Djokovic was going to lose. So he stopped. And he went through a little internal conversation like the one we just described. He affirmed to himself what he wanted. He chose to expect his man to win. He chose not to worry. He chose to really enjoy the game. And he created the outcome he wanted and enjoyed it all the more because he did it consciously. And some of you are thinking, but nothing. Think about this, because if you can get your mind around what went on in this simple story, you'll see what's going on with you in your life. You'll see how powerful you are, because there are infinite versions of reality. There's a version where Federer won. You and this one are version aligned to some extent in matching worlds. So probably in your version of reality, Djokovic won. But can you see that's up to you? And can you also see how important it is to notice how you feel? And then, tip number 2, change direction when you drift into feeling bad. When you find you're heading in the wrong direction, stop. Turn around. even as this one hit the pause button on the recording of the tennis match, hit the pause button on life. Find a way there and then to pivot. Use a process. Use the letting go process. Use a distraction. Use something. But don't settle for feeling bad, ever. And then tip number 3, live from within the question, what do I want now? You came here to experience the joy of creating new things in a very focused world, in a very focused way. Those creative moments are your most joyful experiences. Don't settle for anything less than the world as you want it to be. At one point before the Wimbledon final, Federer was asked what he needed to do to beat Djokovic. He said, believe. An amazing answer, and of course, exactly correct. Now, does that mean by choosing to believe he can win that he will play better? Perhaps, but choosing to play better does not mean that your opponent will not also choose to play better. What is important in this situation is to believe in the end result, to believe you will win, but not to worry about how. We see many of you thinking of what you want and then getting caught up in the dreaded hows, or more often the how on earths. There's always a million hows and all of them flowing and easy. How is not your job. Law of attraction tip number 4. Be obsessively compulsive about appreciating everything. When you're appreciating, it's almost impossible to be feeling negative and creating negatively. So go, as Abraham says, on rampages of appreciation. Appreciate small things. Appreciate big things. Appreciate common things. Appreciate uncommon things. Appreciate sunny days. Appreciate rainy days. Appreciate people. Appreciate animals. Appreciate the world. Appreciate who you are. Appreciate spectacular, extraordinary things. Appreciate ordinary things. Appreciate your washer and dryer. Appreciate toilet paper. And what happens when you do all of that? Miracles. That's what. And so to tip number 5. Expect the best of everything. The best you see is whatever you define as the best. If you choose to believe in new things that make your heart sing, it creates within you an expectation map that becomes the new story of your life. There are no limits to this power of yours. There are no limits to your life except your imagination. And that has no limits except what you choose to settle for. We say, don't settle. We say, choose whatever you want and then choose again. Choice is your middle name. You're here to make new choices. You're here to create whatever you want. And now we move to our longer discussion and to your questions. So this Hangout on Air was our summary for this week, and now we're going to continue with our longer discussion. And if you wish to join us on our conference line, if you're on the Hangout on Air, then the number is on your screen. If you're on the conference line and you wish to ask a question or to just make a comment, press *6 on your handset. And now I'm going to pass over to Rachel, who's with us, and we'll be adding to our discussion here with Tara this morning. Thank you.